were playing wog ball in Australia. Now we've got a team, all Australian-born boys, all who have learnt the game in this country, and people say, how far have we come? That tells the whole story.
Duca just leaning up. Here's a chance for Everton. Kalina!
Generations of round ball devotees have contributed to the current mix, including proud father Branko Kalina, the successful National League coach and administrator, and son Jason Kalina, rising Socceroos star.
We worked together at a couple of clubs, and even before that, when I was very young, he taught me a lot, and we worked a lot together. So I like to see that it's paid off, and hopefully we can keep going over there.
Look, I'm just delighted for the country. I'm delighted for the game because I'm involved in the game, so it means a lot more to me. Not only am I a proud father, and he's my best mate as well, not just my son, but I'm so delighted for the game.
The Socceroos' potent mix of youth, experience and skill, which swallowed up a former world football power in Uruguay, should be the catalyst for an exciting future.
We said in 1974 that the game would take off, but we sat back and did nothing about it. This time, we need to make sure that we do something about it, and the game will take off.
What do we have to do? Do we have to make stars of young Jason?
Absolutely. People like Jason should be idolised. Their little kids should be walking around with jerseys of Jason and Vidukas and Kules and others and all of that.
Last night's exercise in unbridled patriotism was no laughing matter. Grown men wept.
I think there was a lot of emotion that was unleashed, that was bottled up, waiting, the disappointments of 2001, 97, 93, and, it just was uncorked last night.
The tough decisions made by the Football Federation included the inspired signing of Dutch coach Guus Hiddink.
He showed last night that he is absolutely world class. Everything he did seemed to work.
Luring Hiddink to a long-term contract might be the X factor in part 2 of Australia's World Cup fairy tale.
I think we'll go into that tournament, with no pressure, nobody expecting us to do anything, but I think we'll turn a few heads, make a few disappointments.
Peter Wilkins. Frank Lowy, the founder of property giant Westfield, has had a lifelong passion for soccer, a passion born in pre-war Hungary and cemented over 4 frustrating decades in Australia. And where others have come unstuck trying to boost Australian soccer into a prominent place on the professional sporting landscape, Frank Lowy seems to be well down the road to success the second time around after just 2 years at the top of the game's governing body. I spoke with an elated Frank Lowy at his Sydney headquarters earlier today. Frank Lowy, I know that you regard the World Cup qualifying as strategically perhaps a little less important than the coup of getting Australian soccer into Asia. But in all your association with the game, have you ever hit a higher emotional peak in your life?
Never. I mean, it's such a fantastic feeling. And I was quite a bit pessimistic yesterday. I mean, the task was to score at least 2 goals and get none. You're not exactly playing with some amateur team, So it was a big ask. And it can happen like it did happen. But the expectation on my part was that, maybe it just won't happen this time again.
And when it went through the extra time and came to the shootout, seeing Harry Kuehl just stroll up the way he did and put the first one in almost casually.
That's right,
Then to see Uruguay's first attempt stopped in its tracks.
That's right.
That was just a great moment for Australia, wasn't it?
No
doubt combination of those two things.
No doubt about it. And when they missed the second one, I was telling my friends, 2 more penalties and we are home. And then of course we missed one. But then the last one came.
You've talked today about the difficulty of changing coaches. Why was it difficult, and was that change really pivotal to last night's success?
The change was absolutely pivotal. Here we have a guy who has been to 2 World Cups before, have coached other national teams, and is of a reasonable age, I think he's 58, and has the experience behind him. and knows the game very well. And Frank Farina probably will get there, but it'll take him probably about the same time. And he's a wonderful guy, but he just didn't have, in my opinion, the know-how, the knowledge. And my opinion of coaches are, the most important is in the 90 minutes, who to change and when to change, because that changes the dynamics of the game. And he did brilliantly with bringing on Kewell and doing some other things, and that was the difference.
Put the World Cup and Australia's acceptance into Asian football together, and tell me how you expect that to impact on the game generally in Australia in the years ahead.
Well, in the years ahead, first of all, next year, if you take just that 1 year, we're going to have 6 qualifying games for the Asian Cup. We're going to have 2 friendlies, probably one with Greece and one another. And that will sharpen us up for the competition in Germany. And that will happen year in and year out. In addition to that, we will participate in the Asian Championships League, which will give the clubs a chance. And the support, of course, you've got billions of people. The attraction of the game to broadcasters will raise it immensely. So there will be a lot more interest by spectators, and by getting spectators, you get money from broadcasters, because that's where the bulk of the money comes for the game.
It must seem a long way away from that low point in the 80s when you simply took your team, Sydney City, the best team in the country at the time, out of the game altogether.
Well, I mean, it was a very difficult decision, but there are times when you've got to make difficult decisions. If you wouldn't have done that then, the club would have gone broke anyway. I mean, we were winning grand finals and all kinds of trophies, and we had 400, 500 people come and watch the game. I tried very seriously to change the ethnicity of the game, and we call it from Hakok to Sydney City. It didn't work. But why didn't it work? Because the structure of the Australian Soccer Association was more politics than anything else. And I tried to get to the position of influence, but I didn't have time to play politics, so I didn't win. So I decided at the time that this is not the structure to be in, and if you can't get anywhere, why hit your head against a brick wall?
I guess a lot of long-term fans who were there last night were hungrily storing memories away to make up for the drought of the past 32 years. What do you think is the image or are the images that you will take away and treasure for the rest of your life?
Well, I mean, last night's game was really a momentous time for all of us. We see all this green and gold, sea of green and gold with the enthusiasm and the emotion. I don't think I've ever experienced such a major emotional experience than I had. And of course, week in and week out, you go to a A-League game, you see 16, 17, 18,000 people at the Aussie Stadium, or you go to Brisbane, you see it there. I mean, it's unbelievable. And who comes to the game? The game, families come to the game. Whether they are Greeks or Aussies or Japanese or whatever, they all barrack for Sydney City and not for their ethnicity. This is a major revolution in the game, and it's going to go more and more.
2 years ago, when you bit the bullet and took all this on again, in your wildest dreams, could you have imagined filling that stadium with 82,000 people?
Not really. I couldn't imagine, but I was telling some of my friends, I think there was a disconnect between my head and my heart. My head said no, but the heart couldn't say no. So I said yes, and I did expect to be successful. I think that the success that it came in such short space of time was not really expected, so it's very welcome.
Frank Lowy, thanks very much for talking with us.
Thank you.
And for once,